Hello students, welcome to online classes of geography of class 11. This is my third chapter related to your book India Physical Environment and my third class of that third chapter, drainage. Now for today's class, the topics that I have listed for discussion are: number 1, the features of peninsular drainage; number 2, how peninsular drainage evolved out, that is evolution of peninsular drainage. And then we got two types of peninsular drainage. One is west flowing peninsular river, another one is east flowing peninsular river. So these are the four topics that we are going to discuss today. So let us proceed with the first topic of discussion, that is the features of peninsular rivers. Now peninsular rivers are seasonal in nature. Now why it is considered so? Because they are not originated from the glaciers, and rather they do not receive water throughout the year round. They just get the water during the rainy season, that is the precipitation time, and their origin is from the that is the non-glaciated parts of the earth's surface. Now have short and shallow courses. So what does this indicate? That as the volume of the water is less due to its seasonal nature, so here the course of the rivers are short and shallow. They don't have the depth in the river courses. And from where they originate? They originate from Central Highlands and Western Ghats. Now hopefully these are clear to you because we discussed all these relief feature in the previous chapter. As the drainage, that is the peninsular rivers are short, so their drainage basins are small in size, and from where they are used to get the water, that is the catchment area is small. Next we are having, so these are some of the basic features. Now one more thing that is left out over here, one more thing is like you just hopefully recall back that Himalayan rivers are considered as that is what we can say young, and peninsular rivers are old. The age of the peninsular rivers are old, and the pattern that they used to follow for its that is the entire courses, it is trellis pattern, and what is it? It is a radial pattern are there for the that is the drainage basins, for the drainage rivers. Now next it is I'm just proceeding to the another part of it. I am proceeding to the another part of it, the another features. Himalayan rivers were considered as antecedent. Himalayan rivers, I am just explaining this part and then I am going to proceed with the next topic. Himalayan rivers were antecedent. Why? They originate from the ancestor Shivalik. So what is for the peninsular rivers? Peninsular rivers are considered as superimposed and rejuvenated. Superimposed and rejuvenated. Superimposed means overlapping with one another. Okay, it is. Now if you just keep your right arm on the left arm, so the fingers of the right arm will just superimpose the fingers of the left arm. Palm, I am using the word palm. When you keep your right palm on the left palm, the fingers, that is your thumb, will not be superimposed, but your other fingers will superimpose with each other. So this is what superimpose means, overlapping with each other. And rejuvenated means rebirth, they got its rebirth. So Himalayan rivers are antecedent, whereas peninsular rivers are superimposed rivers. Okay. Now these are the some of the features which can be added up along with these 5 features, that peninsular rivers are old compared to that of Himalayan rivers, and peninsular rivers follow the pattern of drainage, that is trellis and radial, whereas Himalayan they follow the dendritic pattern. And Himalayan rivers are antecedent, whereas that is from their origin, and for the origin of the peninsular it is considered as superimposed and rejuvenated. Now let us move to the theories that is related to the evolution of peninsular rivers. Evolution of the peninsular rivers. Now there are 2 theories. Now let us move to the first part of that theory. The first is that geologists believe that the Sahyadri-Aravalli axis was the main water divide in the past. I am just going to show it after. Let me complete with the explanation part, then I will just explain with the help of the map with this entire theory. According to one hypothesis, the existing peninsula is the remaining part of this bigger landmass, The Western Ghats were located in the middle of this landmass, and so one drainage was towards east flowing into Bay of Bengal and others west draining to Arabian Sea. Now the western part of the peninsula cracked and submerged in the Arabian Sea. That is during the tertiary period when the formation of Himalaya was going on. At that time the Western Ghat just cracked from the middle and got submerged in the Arabian Sea. During the collision of the Indian plate, the peninsular block was subjected to subsidence in the few region and creating a series of troughs, rift faults. The west flowing rivers of the peninsula, namely the Narmada and Tapi, flows through these rifts. Presently the Narmada and Tapi are the most important west flowing peninsular rivers and they flow through rifts. Now the next it is that the straight coastline, the steep western slope of the Western Ghat and the absence of the delta formation on the western coast have made this theory possible. Now I am just repeating the evolution once again with the help of drawing a map. Now just see, I am just drawing the southern edge of our country. Okay, I am just drawing the southern edge of our country because it is related to that part only. Now Sahyadri and what is it? Aravalli Axis. Aravalli is situated over here and Sahyadri is situated over here. So what it is being said? That it is there related to this Sahyadri axis and the Aravalli axis that has created the water divide. That is one moving towards the east and the one moving towards the west. This is due to this Sahyadri and that is Aravalli axis. Then Western Ghat at that time it is related to the tertiary period where formation of Himalaya was going on. That is nearly 50 million years ago. Before that also, even much more that 5 to 50 million years ago, I am talking about that period. Western Ghat was situated in the middle part. This was the part of the Western Ghat. But due to tectonic movements, this broke up and it got subsided within this Arabian Sea. It got subsided within that Arabian Sea. Even few parts of this part, that is few parts of this western part of our country was also that is fractured and it just subsided within the Arabian Sea. And when Indian plate collided with the Eurasian plate, at that time the subsidence was there, but gradually again after the entire formation, means that that is the last lap of the formation, again this part re-emerges out. This part re-emerges out. This western part, and just using a different color to show this, the western part, this western part again re-emerges out, which was fragmented. It re-emerges out, okay. And when it re-emerges out, at that time what happened, this become little bit highly elevated and it tilted towards southeast. It got tilted towards southeast. Now when it got tilted towards southeast, what is the resultant? The rivers which already drained towards west, they didn't change their orientation, but other rivers got their origin from the Western Ghat, namely river Godavari, river Krishna, river Kaveri are some of the important rivers that they have their origin from this re-emerged western part of our country, that is the western part of our country, which was more elevated compared to the eastern part, and it got slightly tilted towards southeast, and that is the reason these rivers drained out towards Bay of Bengal. They drained out towards Bay of Bengal. So once again I am just repeating the first theory, that this theory indicates that the water divide was there due to this Aravalli and was along with this Aravalli and the Sahyadri axis, and this water divide just demarcated the two drainage system of the peninsular India, that is west flowing and the east flowing. At that time when Himalaya was in the mode of formation, the Western Ghat was located in the center part of the southern India, which just broke into two parts, and one part got subsided or submerged within the Arabian Sea. Now at the last lap of the formation of the Himalaya, when Indian plate just finally got attached with the Eurasian plate, and the Himalayas which was there with the last mode of formation, at that time the part which was submerged, again it re-emerges out and got joined with that lower part of the Indian plate, and as a result when it re-emerges and joined, it got little more elevated than its eastern part and it got tilted towards the southeast direction. So as a result, the rivers originated from this elevated western part, southwestern part, that is the Western Ghat region, and they drain towards Bay of Bengal, and it is proving this that there are no deltas present over here. Secondly, they are having the estuaries present in this part, and here they lack in sedimentation. That means coastal plains are having the that is they are lacking in sedimentation. So these three facts are proving that this theory is possible. Now let us move to the next theory. Theory number 2. It is believed that the west flowing peninsular river do not flow in the valleys formed by the river themselves. Secondly, rather they have occupied two fault rifts and the rocks running parallel to the Vindhyas, and the faults are supposed to be caused by the bend of the northern part of the peninsula at the time of upheaval of Himalayas, and then it is there that peninsular block south of cracks, they tilted slightly eastward during the event thus giving the orientation to the entire drainage towards the Bay of Bengal. Now what is it? That Himalayan rivers, they made their valleys due to the intensive erosional activity. But here the peninsular rivers does not create their own valleys. Rather, the valleys have been formed due to the faulting process, due to the formation of the blocks, that is the rift valleys have been developed and the rivers are flowing through the rift valleys. This is proved. And why the faulting is there? Because once they were one part is having a process of folding, that is the northern part, and the southern part was experiencing the process of faulting. Now next, that is the rivers which are flowing through the faults. Basically the two important rivers are there, Narmada and the Tapi, and the caused by the bend of the northern part of the peninsula. Now the northern part of the peninsula got bent, means the fault or the cracks have developed or the block mountains have there due to that simultaneous process of folding or the upheaval of the Himalayas. And lastly, due to this reason, the slight eastward orientation of the entire drainage was there towards the Bay of Bengal. When northern part of this peninsula got bent, so resultant the southern part got uplifted, got elevated more compared to the eastern part, that is southeastern part, and the southwestern part was comparatively elevated and tilted towards the southeastern part. As a result, the evolution of the east flowing peninsular river took place and they drained out towards, or they oriented towards, Bay of Bengal. So these are the two theories related to the evolution of peninsular drainage. Now in short, we can see the evolution of peninsular drainage. I am just pointing out the map to indicate this entire process. You can see it is the part where it is there. Now this is the, I am just showing it to you. This entirely is the Satpura range. Okay, here we are having that part of axis of Aravalli and here we are having that Sahyadri. So due to this axis, the demarcation is there for the east flowing and it's there for the west flowing. Okay, and what is the resultant? The resultant is, you can see it is written over here, convergence of the plate. It's written over here, continental shelf is written, and here that is the convergence of the. Now what is continental shelf? When we are going to proceed with the hydrological chapter that is there in your another book, I'll explain what is continental shelf at that time. Now what is it? That is this Western Ghat, which was situated over here, just got fractured and submerged in this part. When it got submerged in this part, and again you can see this plate movement, attaching of the plate movement with the Eurasian plate when the upheaval of the Himalayan mountains was in progress. At that time again it joined with this Indian part, and due to this part got elevated and compared to this eastern part. So the tilting is towards southeast and the rivers originated from this Western Ghat and they drained towards the eastern, southeastern part. Now in short, what we can say, that subsidence of the western plank, it's just in short about the evolution, subsidence of the western plank of the peninsula leading to the submergence below the sea during the early tertiary period, and it disturbed the systematic plan of the river on either side of the original watershed. Original watershed is that Sahyadri and the Aravalli Axis. Second, the upheaval of the Himalayas when the northern flank of the peninsular block was subjected to subsidence, the consequent trough faulting was going on. As I said, one side it was a folding, another side it is faulting. The Narmada and the Tapi now is in trough faults, and the original cracks with the detritus material. Detritus materials means the fragmented material, the sediment parts that is being carried by river Narmada and by river Tapi is being filled up over there, but the elevation that is sedimentation is lacking. So, deltaic formation is not there for these rivers. And lastly, slight tilting of the peninsular block from the northwest to the southeast direction gave the orientation to the system draining towards Bay of Bengal during that same period. So, this is related to the evolution of peninsular rivers. I am just repeating once again, due to the upheaval of Himalaya, that is folding activity during the tertiary period, the faulting process was taking place in the southern part of our country. Due to that faulting process, the Western Ghat just splitted up, or it's broken and got submerged within that Arabian Sea area, and some rift valleys or the block mountains of the Vindhyan range have been developed. Again, that western part re-emerges out and got joined with the southern part of our country, and due to this there was a slight tilting towards the southeast because of its elevation. The rivers originated from the Western Ghat and they oriented towards Bay of Bengal. So, this is related to your entirely evolution of the peninsular plateau. Now, due to evolution of the peninsular rivers, we got the two types of, that is peninsular rivers. One is east flowing peninsular rivers and another one is west flowing peninsular rivers. So, what are the features of east flowing peninsular rivers? That they originates from Western Ghats and they drain towards eastward. They form deltas near the mouths and they drain to Bay of Bengal. Now, why they form deltas? Because they are comparatively having a vast area or a longer stretch or longer course, and more or less they are having the large drainage basin compared to the west flowing peninsular rivers, and they are having large volume of water. So, their drainage basins are also comparatively large. So, these are the features of east flowing peninsular river. Best examples given over here, Mahanadi and Godavari. And lastly, the west flowing peninsular rivers. Now, the west flowing peninsular rivers, their characteristic features are, number one, they are flowing they are fewer in number and compared to the east flowing, and they are smaller, and the two main are Narmada and Tapi. Now, this exceptional behavior is because these rivers didn't form valleys and instead they flow through faults, that is rift valley, and created due to the bending of the northern peninsula during the formation process of the Himalayas, and these faults run parallel to Vindhyas and Satpura. They run parallel to Vindhyas and Satpura. Now, the Sabarmati, Mahi, Luni are the other rivers of the peninsular India which flows westward, but these are not so very prominent like that of Narmada and Tapi. Now, many other small streams have originated from the Western Ghats and they flow swiftly westward and join to the Arabian Sea. Now, one of the most important feature of the west flowing peninsular rivers that they join the Arabian Sea, or the rivers fall into Arabian Sea by not making deltas, rather making estuaries. They don't make deltas, rather they make estuaries. And this is due to the fact that the west flowing rivers, especially the Narmada and Tapi, flows throughout that is in the Rift Valley, and which do not carry in that igneous structure, specifically in the igneous structure which do not carry in the hard rocks igneous structure which do not carry any silt, or there is lack of deposition of sediments. And the tributaries of these rivers are very small and hence they do not contribute any silt also. So, what is the resultant? They are unable to form distributaries. So, peninsular rivers do not have any distributary, but we can find out distributaries for the Himalayan rivers. So we got the two types of the Peninsular River, one that orients toward, or the orientation is towards southeast, Bay of Bengal, and another one the orientation is towards southwest, that is Arabian Sea, and other features are also there. So today I have completed the evolution, the features of the Peninsular Rivers itself and the east and the west flowing Peninsular Rivers. Now I am just showing the rivers with the help of this map. You can see the map and I am just pointing it out. These are there for the west flowing and the east flowing Peninsular Rivers. Now the west flowing Peninsular Rivers, I am just pointing it out. You can see this is Narmada, which is flowing, and this is Tapi. And here you can find out these are there. This is Brahmani, this is Subarnarekha, this is Mahanadi, this is Godavari, along with this Godavari, this is Krishna. Below that we are having Periyar, and just below that we are having Kaveri over here, Kaveri in this southern part. So what does this indicate? That the rivers which are draining towards west, they don't have large tributaries and they don't have silt, because they have to flow through the hard rocks where there is lack of silt deposition, so they don't make deltas near their mouth. And the east flowing, their tributaries are comparatively more and they carry silt, because compared to the west, the eastern part is having less hard rocks, and that is the reason they are able to carry the silt near the mouth and they form deltas. But they are not making the distributaries, because compared to the Himalayan rivers, the deltas are small over here, so it does not lead to the formation of distributary. So here I have completed the entire topic of discussion for today's class. Now if you are having any doubts, without any hesitation, just mention it in the comment section, and thank you for following today's class. Have a nice day.